What is going on, my dude? We got a bright and early edition of the Fastest 40 today, recording Thursday morning for that Red Friday release. Those personal
Yes,
schedules,
sir.
man, they can put a shift in in the way we're doing things a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Things don't change though. We gotta get the work in and we gotta make things happen. So
Damn
so
right.
let's get it early this morning, brother.
Yep, absolutely. Today we're going to jump into some Chiefs news, obviously, talk a little bit about what's going on in Chiefs Kingdom, but I think more importantly, we're going to talk about Super Wild Card weekend, and the Miami Dolphins are coming to town for that. The return of Tyreek Hill to Arrowhead. There's going to be a lot of talk about the weather here in Kansas City. Unfortunately, that's going to be a big impact to the results of this game, I think, ultimately. And then after we get
Yeah.
through everything in the wild card round, we'll talk about what it looks like for the Chiefs to potentially go back and repeat as Super Bowl champions. The way the season went, that might feel a little bit out of reach, but man, it's honestly so doable. Just kind of like laying out the playoff landscape as a whole, looking at it from a 10,000-foot view and just seeing
Yeah.
how many different routes there really could be for the Chiefs. And you know, with the way the season played out in the AFC in particular, I think it's anybody's game. Like obviously the Ravens are the favorites here, coming in as the one seed. They've looked like the
Right.
best team in the AFC, but the degrees of separation between them and say Buffalo, us, really after that it
Even
kind of like there's
Cleveland.
another degree or another tier, if you will. I don't really think it's all that far off, top to bottom. So, gonna be a lot of fun. We'll get into
Yeah,
some
no, it's
Chiefs news. Sorry, you got something,
it's
brother?
yeah, it's just something that once you get in, it's anybody's opportunity. So it was well said with how the field's kind of played out, and it's going to be exciting to see how this shakes out. So
Yeah.
um, really, I mean, anybody could beat anybody at this point.
It's so true. It's so true. And I know you say it all the time, but get us that ticket to the dance. Punch that
Oh yeah.
ticket and anything can happen. Let's kick it off with that Chiefs news and a quick shout out to Better Homes and Gardens.
Yeah, so Better Homes and Gardens, specifically Katie Lawrence, she's serving the Kansas City metro area, and she's handling all the dirty business and the behind the curtains. If you want to buy, sell, or build a home, she is taking care of all that work that you don't want to have to do when you make those big life moves, right? So be sure to call Katie at 816-868-1920, and she'll be able to make those moves for you and find the perfect home for you and your family. But Dan, kicking off here with the Chiefs news and really some NFL news here. The coaching world, I mean, has just been crazy from top to bottom, and NFL and college now with Nick Saban
So
announcing that he's
crazy.
retiring, and Pete Carroll stepping down at the Seahawks and kind of going to do like an advisor role. It looks like, which is very odd. I'm assuming he's just like, man, look, I'm 72. I'm ready to kick some rocks, but been insane to see these changes this year. This is going to be a electric off season for sure. Once these things start to pan out, I really hope, and what I think we'll see is like, and we talked about a little bit yesterday, is that these teams will kind of span out a little bit and kind of wait a couple weeks for a couple playoff teams to drop off and maybe see if there's some more movement with different head coaches. And then maybe here in 2 or 3 weeks, we'll start to really see some hirings, a lot of interviews going on, and it's really going to get spicy for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. The pot's gonna keep getting stirred, and we're gonna be churning out interviews left and right with these vacancies. And with Pete Carroll, it kind of reminds me of the Ravens GM situation a couple years back. Ozzie Newsome getting close to retiring, right? He had a very successful tenure as their GM, brought in a ton of talent, had a ton of success, and then took a step back for a year to ease Eric DaCosta into the new GM role. And I'm feeling like it's going to be a similar situation here with Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. He obviously is very passionate about that organization, and he's I mean, who knows? We might end up seeing him pivot and another team ends up picking him up as like a transitional coach. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Where they're like, "Hey, we want to get you on the field." He seemed like he was still high energy. I mean, he's a high energy guy anyway, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it seemed like, at least to me in the press conference, he was super grateful, with everything his family has done to support him, but it seemed like he was still kind of eager to be out there and it came as a surprise. So who knows? I think I think we could see Pete Carroll on another sideline if someone were to maybe reach out and convince him to, abandon ship on that new role with the Seahawks. But definitely going to be interesting to see where everybody goes. I know we talked about it earlier this week with a few of those potential coaching changes, and we can really get into that carousel in the offseason whenever some playoff teams start getting eliminated. I think that's when we'll start seeing some more hires, because there's a lot of top tier candidates for sure. Now,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about the Peacock situation, right? I think a lot of people were curious. We gave a little bit of an update, but I was listening to 610 and Carrington dropped some insight on it. Carrington Harrison here locally. He said us he had Aaron Ladd on from the local NBC station and basically said if you get KSHB here locally, you do not need to buy the subscription.
Yeah.
So if you're already getting 41 Action News, you're going to get the Chiefs game here locally.
Yeah.
So anybody in the 816, the 913, you have nothing to fret about. Out over in St. Louis, if you're trying to watch, if you're in Springfield and you're trying to watch, if you're in another state and you're trying to watch, you're likely going to need that subscription. That
Yep.
$5.99 a month or whatever it is for
Yeah.
peak. The good news is you can watch The Office for the other 29 days you have that subscription. So I know I bought Peacock just so I could rewatch the series. So
That's funny. So there's also another opportunity there, that Dan, and that's I don't remember if it's like a retweeting a Mini Hughes tweet, or actually he wanted you to explain to him why you think you deserve a free pass on Peacock, and I think he's giving out 90 free logins for Peacock for the month, so you can
number
watch the
90.
game. Yeah, yeah. So that's another opportunity there, and you mentioned it on Tuesday that he was trying to work something for with Peacock, and he had a
Yeah.
lot of feedback for how that was going so far. And I guess they listened and made something happen for him, or he made something happen himself. So
Right.
good on him, and getting some traction there. So obviously the players are seeing the frustration from the fan standpoint on how this is impacting us watching the game. So
Hmm.
that needs some more traction as well. But going into the game a little bit here, Dan, the weather on Saturday is looking pretty cold, and the Chiefs made some moves on things that'll be allowed into the game. You can now bring a 3x5 cardboard or piece of cardboard into the game to stand on. Um,
That has been such
it's
a hot topic.
it feels like I feel like I'm 12 years old, and it's 2007, and I'm about to go into the game. So this is great. A little take me back here for sure. So this is and looking at the weather a little bit more, the snow that we're supposed to get more snow starting tonight. This is Thursday, and they're expecting 3 to 4 inches, and it's kind of looking like it's going to drag from like Thursday night, so starting tonight, into like Saturday morning ish. And so we're going to see that cold, bitter weather. It's like sitting at like -4 right now is the low for Saturday night.
Damn, damn,
And we're
damn.
going to we're going to see we're going to see we're going to see some precipitation as well. So it's going to be interesting, man. look, I wasn't looking forward to it after the game was announced. I was like, man, this just sounds brutally awful. But it's a part of the gig. It's what we signed up for. So I'm gonna strap the boots up. We're gonna make it happen, baby.
Yeah, I talked about it earlier this week. I got those those heated socks. They should be coming in today. So they better come in before the snowstorm hits, because if I get them after Saturday, I'll be pretty upset. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Gonna be
yeah.
pretty upset about that.
I
Um,
understand that.
I think that's gonna be my lifeblood on Saturday. I have the layers, right? We got the insulated pants and all that stuff. Like, that's not the problem. If my feet are good, I'm good, right? That's like
Yeah.
my feet and my neck. I'll be wearing my gator and all that stuff, but man, if I don't have those socks, it's gonna be a miserable Saturday night.
Yeah. The feet, the digits, those are crucial, bro. The digits in the nose, the digits in the
Critical.
nose. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So Dan, let's jump into the injury report here. A couple things. There's been a lot of motion, the last couple of days. Obviously, there's much more attention going into things as we go into the playoffs here. But just to run through some names here, Jerick McKinnon likely out for the year after he just had surgery last week. He is still on IR. Wanya Morris concussion still hasn't practiced as of yesterday on Wednesday. Donovan Smith, he is expected to play. He has been getting those snaps this week. So, kind of a great timing here at the left tackle position. That is
Breath of fresh air, man.
it's a crucial deal, man. Really, the key here for me is just if Donovan Smith can stay healthy, because we just honestly at this point need a body, and whether it's him or Wanya Morris. But at this point, I think from what we've seen, we would rather see Donovan Smith. Even though I talked about wanting to see Wanya Morris play the season out, I think at this point we just need somebody there that's gonna make some plays for us.
Yeah, I mean,
KT, yeah, go ahead, brother.
Donovan Smith has Super Bowl experience. You know what I mean? He played in that on that Buccaneers team against us, and I think him being a savvy vet the way that he is, he's going to be coming into that game poised and ready to play if he is healthy enough to do it. Wanya Morris, rookie, first time on the big stage, first time in the playoffs, all that good stuff. Concussion, still no practicing. I think, you know, if he's not getting prepped the right way right now, then it's probably better to go with a guy who's been there before.
Yeah,
Um, that's just my opinion when it comes to the blind side of a $500 million quarterback. But
yeah,
I'm definitely excited to see Donovan Smith suit up, which, you know, he's had a fine season, minus the injury. So I think it would be very good. Something I want to just bring up to you because it's just now happening. We talked coaching earlier in the show. Bill Belichick is officially out as the New England Patriots coach, ending his 24-year tenure with the team. Uh, Ian Rappaport,
wow,
Ian Rappaport just dropped that. It's 6:07 a.m. for us recording, so that is breaking
wow,
news for Trey and I here. Bill
wow.
Belichick,
That
man.
is that is crazy, man. You think Vrabel's hired within the week?
I think just filling the shoes of a guy like Bill Belichick is going to be tough. I've been seeing things about Vrabel maybe going to the college ranks. I don't think that's a very likely situation. What I deem as a good fit for Mike Vrabel is Atlanta, to tell you the truth. I think they have some solid defensive pieces that he can build around. I think they are in need of a culture change, which is why they got Arthur Smith out of there. And I think they have a lot of really good offensive pieces. And Bijan Robinson could be giving you those early Derrick Henry vibes where they could run that style of offense, that Vrabel ran in Tennessee. So all of those things make Atlanta kind of a better fit, especially with the division being just ass around him. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. But man, if he went to New England, could you imagine the Bostonians and their
Yeah,
excitement
yeah,
bringing Vrabel back?
I would be excited. That would be very that would be a cool sports moment. So
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting. I know with the legacy that the Patriots have, just the name is going to bring somebody pretty high powered. So that's going to be interesting to see what direction they go in. And to your
Yeah.
point earlier about Pete Carroll, stepping down from coaching, that could be a swing for him. I'm going to bust out another 3 to 5 years out here in New England, try to win another chip real quick, and a top 5 pick in the draft next year, a
Yeah, they
chance
have
to go get a
capital.
quarterback. And so opportunity in New England is there for sure, and things could get spicy for sure. That's going to be a cool one to watch. That's shocking.
That's
Bill
big
Belichick's
time.
done so much.
Yeah.
Wow,
And Belichick's been
we just talked about how crazy head coaching's been, this offseason,
so
and here we
wild.
bust off another one.
Well, Belichick's been their kind of de facto GM as well. And so they're
Yeah.
probably going to have to bring in somebody on that side of things too to get their personnel right. Because I couldn't see Vrabel, like let's say Vrabel goes to New England, I could not see him being their GM. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like someone else
Yeah.
is going to need to have that football personnel control. So a lot of movement in the future of the New England Patriots.
Yep, that's for sure, man. That's exciting. But all right, to bounce back to the injury report here, a
Yeah,
couple of
let's
more
reel that
names we
back
want to
in.
talk about. Kadarius Toney, there we go. Might play limited to practice. L'Jarius Sneed limited practice with that calf. You should expect to see L'Jarius Sneed. And then last one here, still in the secondary here, Brian Cook. Chiefs don't expect him to see him play this offseason or this postseason. After what we
Man,
saw with his ankle in that game a few weeks ago, actually about a month or so ago, didn't break anything, which was absolutely wild. And man's got
that's
rubber
like
band
so
ankles.
lucky.
Yeah, and but with the severity of that high ankle sprain, it doesn't look like he's going to play this offseason. So that's a big hit. I know a lot of Chiefs fans were anticipating that coming out and seeing Brian Cook again this postseason. He was such a crucial part to that Chiefs defense middle of the year there, and started really playing solid ball, and excited for him for the rest of his career as a Chief. But yeah, sucks we won't see him, but secondary is heavy right now, so they're still playing great ball, so I'm not too worried about that. But the list is kind of getting a little long here, Dan, and something we've talked about all year is limiting those injuries and making sure everyone can stay consistently healthy throughout the
Yep.
season. So it's really important that one, we go into this game and the guys that are healthy can play good ball. But two, that when we win this game, we can come out, kind of unscathed. So it's going to be something to watch for sure.
Yeah, I mean, sustaining our team. You look at the Dolphins injury report and all the impact names that are on it, right? Like Van Geekel has been a tackle machine for them. Jerome Baker, solid linebacker. Xavier Howard, their best corner, in my opinion, at this point in Ramsey's career, anyway. I think Howard's maybe got a little bit more juice left in the tank. But then all of the guys that are like dealing with things, Teron Armstead, a very solid left tackle. Both of their Javon Holland has been great for them. Both safeties haven't practiced all week. Devon Achan still kind of banged up. Mostert banged up. I mean, those are all impactful players, guys that can change the game for the Dolphins. And so, exactly what you said, to your point, our big key is to make sure that we don't lose any impact players like that. Like having Sneed on the injury report is a concern to me,
Yeah.
right? Having both of our left tackles is a concern to me on this injury
Yeah.
report.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we need to leave this game. If we end up leaving with a dub, we need to leave with a couple of W's on the injury report too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's well said there for sure. So, Dan, let's move into best bets for the game. The Miami game this Saturday night at Arrowhead. It's going to be a great one. It's going to be a cold one, but we're going to bring this one in with the Atlas Saloon downtown Excelsior Springs. The Atlas Saloon has been a great partner for the show, and what they have done down there is really create an environment for not just folks here in Excelsior to go out and experience some football or some live music or open mic night or whatever it may be, but really people all around that come to travel to Excelsior Springs now and get to enjoy 10 beers on tap that Keith has brewed himself down there at the Atlas Saloon. So They've done a great job. It's definitely one of the top spots in the Northland right now. If you're traveling around looking for something fun to do with yourself, the family, the friends, whatever it may be sure you're stopping by the Atlas and let them know the Fastest 40 sent you. But Dan, right here, we're looking at the best bets. The spread right now is Kansas City -4.5. Two things going to that for me. One is got to be home field advantage, obviously, in the playoffs is going to be a big deal, specifically for Kansas City. And two's got to be the weather. There's been a lot of talk throughout the week on how the weather is going to impact the Miami Dolphins and how they have consistently underperformed under 40 degrees. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Kansas City -4.5. I'm not sure if I love that. Even though the Chiefs still play in cold weather, doesn't mean we are invincible in cold weather. I still see this being somewhat of a close game, like a 17-13, 17-14 kind of a game. So I'm personally kind of riding with the Miami +4.5 here. And over-under sitting at 44.5, which is incredibly high to me. Shocker. They've all been pretty low this year. So the under's for sure for me. But right now for props, Dan, what are we looking at for the props?
Yeah, and just a couple things to add to the spread and the over-under talk because the weather is going to be such a big factor. In the past 10 games where the Dolphins played in 40 degrees or below, they've gone 0-10.
Yeah.
So they've lost all 10 of those games by an average of 17 points in each of those 10 games. And this year they're 4-4 on the road. So you factor in all of those things. The Dolphins just historically have a lot going against them in this game, just based on the trends. Yeah. So, the spread being what it is, I see that moving closer to 5, maybe even 5.5. Maybe it gains a full point as we get closer to Saturday. I think that injury report is going to dictate a lot of it. So, right now, if you're a betting man and you feel good about Kansas City to cover, do it now. The under, being in Arrowhead, unders happen about 68% of the time in the Mahomes-Reed era. So I like the under anyway. But then you factor in the weather, and it's like, what'd you say, 17-20 or something like that? What'd you say for the score?
17-13,
17-13. I think that is very feasible, right? Even if it ends up being like a 20-17 or 23-20 kind of game, like that under is still well within reach in those situations. And I think 43 points is like the top tier of what you can expect scoring wise, unless these running backs just break off big play after big play like MJD and Chris Johnson going at it back in the day. So I just don't see 44 points happening, let alone 45. So I'm with you there. For props, there's a lot of surprises on here for me. I think with the touchdown thing, like Vegas has no idea about what the Dolphins are going to do touchdown wise. Achane's +115, Hills +125, Mostert +135. And then on the Chiefs side, like they're saying Pacheco is feeling pretty damn good for a touchdown, -130. Kelsey +100. He's obviously a big target in the red zone for the Chiefs. And then the Rashee Rice at +160. I really like that. Yeah. I could absolutely see him taking a screen pass, 15 yards for a touchdown if we end up getting in the red zone for whatever reason. Or if we end up getting to the red zone, I could see Rice being a key component in getting those points on the board. So I really like Rice's value here. I like Achane's value a little bit more than Mostert if I'm looking at a Dolphins touchdown, just because Mostert's coming off that injury. And I could see Achane being a little more dynamic, both handing the ball off and passing the ball in that situation. But I think Pacheco's a lock.
I like a parlay here, maybe like a Pacheco, Rice, Achane, kind of a parlay there. You kind of group things up and add some value to that risk and hammer it in that way. I know that's probably Strato's go-to for the weekend as well.
The passing yards is what's shocking me too, because I feel like Mahomes' total at 249.5 is not like super far off from what we've seen from him most of the season anyway. And with the weather being what it is expected to be, I don't know, like 225, 230 seems more in line for Mahomes than 250, 260. So I like the under there. And same for Tua. I made the mistake of not pulling up the numbers that Tua had in the last game, but I mean, we can take a quick peek here of what that looked like in Germany. Because I don't think Tua had more than 200 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's sitting at 193 in that game in Germany, just because I think our pressure was so
Yeah.
immense on him throughout the game. It really took him until about the fourth quarter to put up most of those yards to get Hill and get Waddle involved at that point. Oops, we got work alarms going off on the phone. So yeah, I mean, with with everything there, man, I like the under for Tua too.
Yeah, for sure. And then with the passing touchdowns sitting at 1.5 each, I kind of like the under for both of these guys going
Yeah,
into this one. I think most touchdowns once you get inside the 5 here, they're just going to rely on the ground game. And really, once you're inside I think the 10, maybe the 12, it's going to be a pretty heavy run presence, and we'll see those rushing touchdowns a little more often this game with the weather
yeah.
situation that we have panning out here.
I mean, can't stress it enough that there are calls that this might be one of the top like 3 or 4 coldest games in NFL playoff history, like
Yeah,
the Ice Bowl standards. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's going to be historically cold. There's
yes.
going to be problems down there, especially with that snowfall you talked about.
Yep.
That field's going to be rock hard.
Yeah. And the balls too, really, from a kicking
Yeah,
standpoint.
absolutely. And I think that's why these receiving totals are so low. I like Isaiah Pacheco just because of what we do in the screen game at 19 and a half yards. There's going to be no McKinnon to cannibalize that from him.
Yep.
But with Justin Watson at 22 and a half, like I would be hard pressed to just stay away from some of these other numbers. Rashee Rice was, I think, at 63 and a half, Kelsey 57 and a half. I could see unders hitting on both of those players. But the one that intrigued me the most was Mecole Hardman at 12 and a half. And that's because of everything we saw in that week 18 game. He was the primary read. He was making honestly, some good catches along the sideline and things
He
like
really
that. So
was, yeah.
I could see him getting more reps. I could see him being maybe wide receiver 3 in this situation where they give
Yep.
him all that slot work and let him run those little out routes, those little, pick up 7, pick up 8 type of routes to get to a third and short or to convert a second and long. Um, I think Hardman's over hits comfortably.
Yeah, that I think I like that one too. I'm not really huge on the Watson pick here. He's been
Me either.
more of a deep out post routes, corners, kind of a route runner. And I think that's where he thrives. And I don't see a lot of those plays coming from the Chiefs this weekend. And with that being said, great point on McKinnon not catching a lot of balls this game, obviously because he's on the IR, and where Pacheco will eat those because they are going to have to still have a presence in the passing game, but we're going to have to keep those passes within 7 yards. And what better way to do that than the screen game? And I think we're going to see a lot of that with Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice. I think even Mecole Hardman on some screens here. And so I think that's a great point there. I like Pacheco and Hardman as well, for sure.
Yep. Pacheco's rushing yards looks really juicy because it's not far off from what the regular season average has been either. 64 and a half yards. I think you smash the hell out of that. Put whatever you got on it because that thing is slapping in this game.
Yep. Yep.
The
No.
Dolphins defense is destroyed right now. Like they're signing guys off the street. Justin
Yeah.
Houston had half a sack this year. He got cut from the Panthers so he could sign with the contender. They brought him in. Bruce Irvin was let go from his team. I think he might have been with the Raiders or the Seahawks, one of those two, if I'm not mistaken. He ends up moving forward with the Dolphins. They have Melvin Ingram still, but really the only person you're worried about in the rushing attack is Christian Wilkins in the middle there. And I just don't see their front seven being as decimated as it is. No Van Ginkel, he's really big for run support. Not having those guys and having some new pieces kind of rotating in, I think we can take advantage of the running game a ton in this. And I think Pacheco is going to be literally the focal point, if not the only emphasis in our offense this week. Mahomes at 27.5 seems interesting to me as well, but I don't know. I might stay away from that one and just if I'm putting a parlay together, I'm grabbing Pacheco's yards, I'm grabbing Hardman, I'm taking the over on both, I'm grabbing a Pacheco touchdown, and then I'm probably taking the under on Mahomes passing, throwing that together and seeing what sticks.
I like that. That's a pretty solid parlay right there,
Yeah.
brother. Yeah.
Not
But
betting the Chiefs
Dan,
though. Can't do it. Cannot do it.
yeah, yeah. Well, Strato's gonna listen, and maybe he'll play it for you there, man. But
Yeah. If someone
let's
wins, I'll be happy on that.
let's yeah. Let's get into how each team's gonna win this game here, Dan. Starting with the Dolphins, some key things for them to be able to or get established for them to be able to have a chance at winning this game. Just a couple of topics here. Establishing the run game early is going to be critical for them.
Hmm.
As you just talked about, the Chiefs are going to want to do the same, and for them to be successful with the weather, with the conditions that it's going to be in, running the ball is going to be a crucial opportunity for them to be able to one, control clock, but two, flat out score the football, right? Because you're not going to see those 80-yard bombs from Tyreek.
Right.
Unlikely, they're going to take their shots because that's who the Dolphins are and that's how they've been successful. But the likelihood of those being successful are a little bit lower with what we're seeing for the weather on Saturday. And then into that point about Tyreek, they have to continue that foundation of who they are on offense, and that is the big play from Tyreek or Waddle, right? So they have to create those plays and at least have one to two of those plays in the game to really set the Chiefs defense back and continue to respect the pass and not just stack the box for the run.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the ball for the Dolphins is controlling the run game. And when you control the run game, you control the pass game and you control the clock. So if they can, stuff Pacheco and really make that first contact behind the line of scrimmage, then
Hmm.
that's going to give them a great opportunity to one, keep the Chiefs team off the field, the Chiefs offense off the field, but two, just give their offense more opportunities to be able to score. So I think those are the top three hits there for them to be
Yeah.
successful. We could see those again. This is playoff football. Don't underestimate, the Dolphins here, and that we've already beat them, and that the weather that they play like shit under 40 degrees. Those things are factors, yes, but it's playoff football, man. We got to be prepared for sure.
Yeah. I mean, to your point there, history doesn't matter in the moment. You know what I mean? Because history can change at any time. So you got to give respect to your opponent, especially in the playoffs. I mean, in the NFL, you have to in general, but especially in the playoffs, because those guys are here for a reason. It's because they won more games than the average team. And
Yeah.
uh, definitely respect is due. Controlling Pacheco is going to control the time of possession. I mean, that just gives you so much power, which is why if we're shifting to the keys to victory for the Chiefs, it's going to be so important to get him involved in that running game early. Let Pacheco take you to the divisional round. Strap
Yeah.
yourself on the back of number 10 and let him roll. I think that's going to be such a huge piece there, and part of Pacheco having success in that running game is going to be reliant on those big uglies up front. Tony, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, letting those guys in that interior offensive line just batter people and letting those swing tackles do what they do best and create some lanes for Pacheco on those tosses and sweeps. So let's get that running game going. Turnovers are, I mean, if they haven't been an emphasis all damn year, it has to happen this game. We cannot have a strip sack situation in the red zone. We cannot have a costly turnover in our own territory. We cannot have those situations that kill our drives and put them in a position to score points or put us in a position where we had points on the board and now they're off because we threw a pick in the red zone or because, somebody fumbles on the 20 or whatever the case is there. That has to be such a point of emphasis, especially with how cold it's going to be. Handling that ball is going to be very, very difficult. Hands are going to be numb. It's going to be tough, but we have to make that a point of emphasis and keep ourselves from finding ourselves in those situations where Mahomes is throwing a ball across the middle, it gets tipped up and picked, or somebody
Yeah.
doesn't protect that blind side inside our own 20 and Mahomes gets strip sacked. Like those are the things that we have to just be cognizant of and not overthink it, right? You don't want to think, "Ooh, I don't want to turn the ball over on this play," but you
Yeah.
do want to
Yeah.
think, "Okay, I need to be fundamentally sound. I need to make sure I catch this ball before I start running," right? Like those are
Yeah.
going to be big pieces there. And then finally, the defensive line. If they're able to set the tone in the trenches and help out the rest of the front seven and help out those defensive backs with those speedy receivers by just stifling the play before they can get started, because the Dolphins are a speed team. Their receivers are fast, their running backs are fast. If we're able to get there in the backfield before they're able to build up enough momentum in the running game, we're going to be able to stifle that rushing attack. And if we're able to get to Tua quickly, then those receivers are not going to have enough time to get the release that they need on those routes to make any kind of impact in the passing game. So if our defensive line does what they've done all year, we're number 2 in sacks in the
Yeah.
league. Shout out to Joe Cullen, our defensive line coach. If they're able to do what they've done all year, we're gonna be in a really good position. If it ends up we get 4 sacks on the stat sheet, I'd be surprised if we don't have a W as well.
Yeah, well said, man. The D line is going to be such a crucial part of this success this weekend for the Chiefs, in the run game, but also obviously in the pass game, as you mentioned. So,
Yeah.
um, Dan, I'm feeling good about the game Saturday. I really am. I'm not overconfident here, but I am confident that the Chiefs can come out with a dub here. I think we do match up well against the Dolphins, and
Yep.
then I think we play better in cold games, and not just this year, but historically for the Chiefs, we play in cold weather, and really historically for the Chiefs, last 5 or 6 years, we play well in the postseason. So
Yeah.
I think
We do have
I
that
think
going
that
for us too.
I think we at least move on to the divisional round this week. But with that being said, there's a road to the Super Bowl here for the Chiefs, and kind of bring us in what that looks like and how that opportunity can come back to Kansas City.
Yeah, and before we get into that, quick shout out to eCoffee, KC Local, man. They take care of us here on the show, but you can check out their website, www.eeroastcoffee.com. That's where you can put in your order. I mean, people are going to be camping out for this playoff game, right? You need a cup of Joe. You need to get a pot going while you're there in your Chiefs vehicles or while you're setting up your tailgate scene. That way you can get fueled through the game, and e-coffee is going to do you right. Go order some coffee from a KC local coffee company. See if their Rad Kingdom blend is in stock, because that one is fire. Shout out eCoffee, love those guys. So, road to the Super Bowl starts with Miami at home in the wild card round, and then after that, it kind of goes all over the place. Like, because we're so early in the playoffs and because of our seeding, the 3 seed is a very unique position where you could find yourselves on the road in the divisional game and then hosting the championship game, just because of how everything is structured. 1 and the 2 seed, they are guaranteed home games in the divisional round. So, Ravens, we just the way the seeding works, there's no chance we see them until the AFC Championship game. So we'll talk about divisional game first, right? If Buffalo beats Pittsburgh, we beat Miami, we're guaranteed to go play in Buffalo. That is the locked in situation if that happens. Now, if for whatever reason Buffalo loses, that shifts up the realm of possibility a little bit for us, where we could end up hosting a divisional round game against Houston or Cleveland, depending on who wins the 4-5 matchup.
Yeah.
So in the divisional round, I think ideal scenario, you probably agree with this. Buffalo loses to Pittsburgh, and we end up hosting another playoff game here in Arrowhead against Houston or Cleveland and keep the streak alive.
Ideally, Houston for me. Yeah, no, that's definitely ideal situation there for sure.
Yep. Now, what happens if Buffalo loses? Then Pittsburgh automatically goes to Baltimore, and Baltimore would then have to win for them to host the AFC Championship game, obviously. But if they end up losing, then we would play Pittsburgh, right? The more likely scenario, I think, is we go to Buffalo for the divisional round, assuming we take care of business against Miami. Baltimore hosts Pittsburgh, or not Pittsburgh, the winner of the
Cleveland.
4-5, which I think will be Cleveland.
Yep.
Cleveland and Baltimore face off. There's a real possibility that Cleveland could beat Baltimore. We beat the
Oh
Bills,
yeah.
and we end up hosting Cleveland in the AFC Championship game.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I think that's feasible.
I think it's very feasible, but I think the more likely scenario, just because of Baltimore and what they've been able to do the last couple of weeks, is they beat Cleveland, they host an AFC Championship game, and the winner of Kansas City Buffalo goes to play them for a ticket to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
That's the route I think the playoffs are going to go. Now, you never know what's going to happen in the playoffs, right? It's been a common theme here: get the ticket, and anything's possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, I think the most likely path is host the Dolphins, Buffalo on the road, Ravens on the road. We string those 3 wins together, then we can end up finding ourselves playing San Fran, Dallas, Detroit, or Philly. I think those are the most likely options in that order on the NFC side of things. We're getting way ahead of ourselves talking about a Super Bowl right now. We're only in the wild card round. That's a month away. But that's what a red and yellow road to the Super Bowl would look like.
I love it. I love the Detroit matchup. I like that in the Super Bowl. I want that.
Can you imagine if it started? We start the 2023-24 season with the Chiefs-Lions matchup, and then we end in the Super Bowl with the Chiefs-Lions matchup, like a full
Yeah.
circle moment. How cool that would be.
That would be awesome. Incredible. Yeah.
That's our road to the Super Bowl, man. That's what we have to
Yeah.
do to get it done. I think a road game is a foregone conclusion here in this playoff run, but if we're able to get a few things to break our way, we could end up hosting a 6th straight AFC Championship game and potentially, making our I guess this would be our 4th Super Bowl appearance in 5 years. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for us to get there.
Yeah. No, I don't either, man. This team could get hot this weekend and ride it out for another month and make it happen. So I like it. I obviously, as a huge Chiefs fan, I want to see this, take off here and make something happen, man. So, I'm excited, but it starts this weekend, starts Saturday, and it starts with the Dolphins, man. We got to take care of business this weekend.
Damn right. Damn right we do, man. I am so ready for Red Friday. I'll be Chiefs head to toe. I hope everyone listening on Red Friday is wearing their Chiefs gear while you're listening to the Fastest 40. Make sure you follow us on social media, Instagram and X at the Fastest_40. You can also follow our Facebook page. We'll be making different announcements and things like that. And check out our store. Right, we have some merch coming out, so we'll be dropping some links on the socials here soon, and I'll try and comment one on the show that drops as well on YouTube. So make sure you check out that store link. We got some mugs here. I've been drinking my my morning coffee. I don't know if anyone can get a glimpse of that out of this little tin mug. I love it, man. I think it's freaking awesome. A lot of fun in our future on Saturday. Trey, I know I'm going to be at the game. I hope to see you there as well. Hopefully the family's getting better. I know that's kind of the contingency there. Family definitely number one importance, but I hope to see you on Saturday, brother.
Yes, sir. Either way, I will be there in spirit. If I don't make it to the game, I will get you a cardboard cutout that you can take with you, and you can stand on it to keep your feet warm, or you can set it right next to you, buddy.
I love it. I love it. I'll have my give me a fat head of Trey. Just one Trey face cut out, and I'm just gonna you see me
Pumping
in
it.
308 waving that
Pumping it.
thing.
Yeah. All right, Dan, let's get signed off here. Super Bowl or Super Wild Card weekend. It's going to be a good one here. Let's go, Chiefs.
Let's go, Chiefs. We will see you guys next week. Peace.